me talk about Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, I talk about how success, there's no secrets. Success has been in place. There's no special stuff about success. Napoleon Hill was a white gentleman born in the hills of Virginia in abject poverty. Napoleon Hill never had a pair of shoes till he was 9. He never saw an automobile or a locomotive till he was 12. Okay, but Napoleon Hill had a great skill. He had the ability to write. Okay, so he matriculated to Georgetown University, and at Georgetown, he was trying to figure out how he was going to be able to afford his tuition. So he said, let me write articles about successful people. So what he was able to do, he went to visit Andrew Carnegie. Yes, the Andrew Carnegie. The interview was supposed to last 2 hours. It lasted 5 days. What Andrew Carnegie did, he said, I'm going to give you a task. And if you take on this task, it will change your life forever and change millions of people to come. And what that task was to do, it was to study. He gave him a list of 500 of the most successful people in the United States, the Henry Fords, the Wrigleys, the Macy's, the Bloomingdales, the Sears. Those people were living at that time. He gave him a list of 500 people and gave him an introduction to sit down and talk to them people to find out what made successful people successful. Okay? What Napoleon Hill, he gathered this information. He wrote a book, and I would offer to anyone to please read it. It's called Think and Grow Rich. At last printing, it was like 30 million copies. Think and Grow Rich. Okay? Napoleon Hill found out some very interesting things as he studied successful people. Henry Ford, for example. Henry Ford. Henry Ford spoke in one-word sentences. Okay? Henry Ford only had 2 years of study curriculum, like 2nd or 3rd grade. Henry Ford was not even the best mechanic in the shop he worked in. Okay? But Henry Ford had something that the head mechanic did not have. Henry Ford had the ability to bring thoughts to execution. Ability to execute. He was able to bring it from thoughts to execution. When I told you guys earlier that some people in this audience will be a millionaire, success is not if, okay? There's not an if with success. There's a when with success. When will you choose to be successful? Okay? When will you choose to be successful? To be successful, you have to change everything in your life. Every single solitary thing. What you eat, the time you get up, what you wear, what you read, how you think, the people you associate with. You have to change everything in your life if you want to be successful. Do you know the first assignment at Harvard Business School? Very first assignment. Real easy one. Nobody knows? The first assignment at Harvard Business School is to write your own obituary. Okay? You know why? You write your obituary as if it's going to appear in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times. The reason being, only successful and notable people appear in the Wall Street Journal and New York Times. You will have 50,000 choices a day. You have 50,000 choices a day. Okay? Most people have 50,000 choices. What you're going to eat, what time you get up, whether you're going to comb your hair or not, whether you shower or shave, whether you're going to go to class or not. You have 50,000 choices that you can or cannot make. Okay? But there's 2 every day of your life you must make. Accept things as they are or take the courage to change them. Okay? Those are 2 choices you have to make every day of your life. There's 10 forms of wealth, okay? Money's not even the first. Money's not the second. Money's not the third. The number one form of wealth is an idea. Knowledge. That's the number one form of wealth. The second form of wealth is a relationship. Know the right people. Have the right connections. Do you know every Ford automobile since the beginning of time has a Firestone tire on it? Okay? Can you imagine how many Ford vehicles there are? How many Firestone tires? You know why? Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone were best friends. Relationships. Okay? Relationships. Successful people are dedicated to lifelong learning. You don't study for a period of your life. You study for all your life. I just recently got back from Detroit, being taught by some Harvard professors on how to grow my business, okay? Most of the males in this audience, okay, spend $500 a year on the outside of your head, shades, haircuts, and less than $50 a year on the inside of your head, okay? Proven fact. You're going to have 4 ideas a lifetime. Every individual, 4 ideas a lifetime that can make you financially secure for life. But the issue is, do you have the faith, the courage, the persistence, and the belief to bring those ideas to fruition? You know, it's been studied that the bigger the house, the more volumes of books. The smaller the house, the bigger the TV, okay? The average black millionaire only watches 24 hours of TV a week, while the other African-Americans studied watch 80 to 90 hours a week, okay? The average African-American millionaire, he reads 3 to 4 books a month. It's a studied fact that if you read 3 books a month for 5 years, 3 books a month for 3 years, you'll be a noted figure in your community. You read 5 books a month for 5 years, you'll gain national acclaim, okay? You read 7 books a month for 7 years, you'll get international exposure because you'll be expert in your field, okay? The different people that have been different pyramid marketing, everybody has heard of pyramid marketing. It's a proven fact that if you work 4 years, like most people won't and can't and will not, you can live the rest of your life like other people won't and be able to. One thing about successful people, they refuse to accept failure. They refuse to accept no. I'll give you a personal note. About 3 to 4 years ago, I was meeting with some officials from the government, and there was this contract that would change my family's life forever, okay? That would change my family's life, this one contract. And I've been working on this contract for 3 years. And I met with the government officials, and there's a young lady and I sitting in the room, and this lady makes this comment. She says, "Mr. Kemp, you will never get this contract." And I proceeded to look around the room. It was only me and her in the room. I proceeded to look around the room. I said, "Excuse me, what did you say?" She said, "Mr. Kemp, you will never get this contract." And I proceeded to get up and look around the room. She said, "Excuse me, sir, what are you looking for?" I said, "I'm trying to find out who you're talking to because you cannot be talking to me." Okay? That contract was worth $10 million. Changed my family's life forever, $10 million. Refusing to accept failure. Kathy Hughes, owner of Radio and TV, was turned down 60 times before she got financing. 60 times. Bob Johnson, founder, former president of BET Television, used to go sit in the lobby of McDonald's headquarters in Chicago, hoping he'd come across somebody from the marketing department so he could pitch BET so he could get a major sponsor. Okay? There's a company in Houston that got turned down 28 times for, last year they made $140 million. They got turned down 27 times for a bank loan. 27 times. Faith, courage, belief. Are you going to go back to a bank after you've been turned down 59 times? Who in this audience would do that? Okay? The way you look at failure determines your outcome. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, do you know how many times he failed trying to invent that light bulb? 10,000 times. 10,000. He didn't look at it as 10,000 failures. He simply looked at it as 10,000 things that didn't work. He had a totally different perspective of failure. The more you try to sell, the greater the opportunity you have to make. Okay? Anybody in a marketing arena knows if you're the top salesman, you're going to get paid the best. Okay? If you have this one job that you count widgets, you're not going to get paid as an insurance salesman that starts from scratch. Okay. Let's get back to black millionaires. If you want to be an engineer, you study engineering. Okay? If you want to be an artist, you study art. If you want to be a millionaire, be like me. Study millionaires. I can tell you everything about black millionaire. GPA, female, 3.2, male, 2.9. 60% went to HBUs. 70% went to business school. They drive Lexus, Mercedes, Lexus. Their houses cost about $300,000. Most of them have a Sears card. The women wear St. John, Dolce & Gabbana, and little Perry Ellis. The men buy off the rack. Okay? Women tithe 10% of their earnings. Men give their money to charity. Okay? But there's one common denominator of most African American millionaires. There's one common denominator. At 30 years old, they at least made $100,000. That's the common thread between most African American millionaires. Do you know that an immigrant to this country has a 17 greater chance becoming a millionaire than one of us? Okay? An immigrant to this country has a 17 times greater chance to become a millionaire than one of us. And why is that? They see opportunity. Okay? When we see obstacles. What I see as a pebble in the road, okay, the next person sees as a boulder. Wealth is a function of choice. You got to make up your mind. You have to absolutely make up your mind. You know, it doesn't matter where you're born, what your grade point is, what college you went to, what your mother and father did. That's irrelevant. You have to develop a wealth consciousness, okay? You know, we all heard the stories of people, what winds up to the people that win a lottery, okay? We all heard the stories they're broke in 5 to 7 years after they won $20 million. We all heard the stories of how these rich and famous athletes are broke after they retire. The problem is they never developed a wealth consciousness. Wealth is not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. That's what wealth is, about how much you keep. Wealth is not a W-2. Wealth is a 1099, okay? What college will do for you, college will get you a job, okay? Entrepreneurship will make you rich. Okay? The lower class, their scorecard is cars and clothes, okay? It's cars and clothes in our community. The middle class, it's degrees and titles. But for the wealthy, it's their bank accounts. That's the scorecard. There's only 2 things in life that you have absolute control over. 2 things. There's only 2 things. Your work ethic and your attitude. Nothing else you have control over. You don't have control over whether they're going to give you the bank loan. You don't have control over whether they're going to give you a contract. You don't have control over whether the deal is going to work. Okay? You don't have any control over those things. But your work ethic and your attitude, you have absolute control over. One of the things that's a must upon successful people, you work to improve every day. When I make a mistake, I don't look at it as a mistake, as a failure, as I did something. I'm trying to probe and to try to see, how do I do it better next time? How do I do it different next time? How do I change the way I did it? I'm happy when a customer complains because it's an opportunity, it's a chance for me to be better. Okay? A gentleman once said, in one hand, I have an obstacle. One hand, I have an opportunity. Which one do you choose? Okay. I'm going to close by telling you a true story. In the early 50s, there was a island off the coast of Japan called Fukushima. And it was inhabited by a bunch of monkeys, hundreds of monkeys. And scientists would drop down tons of sweet potatoes because they found out that these monkeys loved these sweet potatoes. They drop them in the sand on the beach. But the monkeys would eat them and realize they were kind of gritty, but they continued to eat them. So over a period of 3 or 4 years, they're still dropping the sweet potatoes in the sand. Well, for no reason that a scientist could explain, one female monkey gets the potato and walks to the edge of the water and washes off and eats it. Over the course of a few more years, gradually, more and more monkeys would take the potatoes and go to the water and wash them out. Okay? Inexplicably, with no scientific form or fashion or reason, at the 100th monkey, instantaneously, all the monkeys on that island went to the shore and washed their potatoes. But that's not the significant thing. That's not the significant thing is 5 miles away on another island that's divided by space and time, all the monkeys on that island had went to the water and washed their potatoes. Okay? Now, I asked you, which of you are going to be the 100th monkey that makes social change, that changes the political landscape, that finds the cure for cancer? Which one of you are going to be the 100th monkey that makes a change? Thank you very much.